Channel 2 News. I'm Nick.
And I'm Maddie.
The French Revolution is still burning bright halfway across the world.
For those of you who are just now tuning in, we will catch up with you on what's happened already and our most recent occurrences.
Okay, let's go all the way back to the beginning. France in 1792, with the Paris Commune led by George Danton, dominated the political scene and forced the Legislative Assembly to call a national convention.
The convention began its first session in September 1792 and consisted mostly of lawyers, professionals, and property owners. About 2/3 of its deputies were under the age of 45.
And let's not forget that almost all had political experience and distrusted the King, Louis XVI. On September 21st, 1792, the National Convention took its first major step to abolish the monarchy and establish the French Republic, then split into two factions over the fate of Louis XVI.
The two major factions were Girondins and the Mountain, both of which were members of the Jacobin Club.
For those of you who don't know, the Jacobin Club was a large network of political groups throughout France.
The Girondins represented the provinces and wanted to keep the king alive, while the Mountain represented the interests of radicals and wanted to kill the king.
The Mountain won in early 1793 when it convinced the National Convention to pass a decree condemning Louis XVI to death and was beheaded on January 21st, 1793. This execution outraged the royalty in most of Europe, and peasants in western France refused to accept the authority of the National Convention, creating new enemies for the revolution.
In an informational coalition, Austria, Prussia, Spain, Portugal, Britain, and the Dutch Republic took the arms against France and were ready to invade by late spring 1793.
In response, the Committee of Public Safety was given broad powers by the National Convention.
The Committee of Public Safety has since taken control and have set the Reign of Terror in motion due to the crisis in France.
Let's go to our correspondent Zach, live in France, here to tell us what is going on there.
It hasn't been getting a lot better over here. The worst has passed us. About 40,000 people had been killed when the revolutionary armies were set to bring rebellious cities back under the control of the National Convention.
From what we had seen, their brutality was unbelievable and they had shown no mercy to anyone. And by anyone, we mean anyone.
People of all classes had been killed, from peasants to the wealthy.
The Committee of Public Safety was claiming that all the violence is only temporary and the true republic of virtue will follow. What's to make this statement, Zach?
Obviously, the CPS was trying to do some damage control and cover up the mess that they've made, but I don't think that it will be that easy. They've been doing a lot of harm to the people here, and it won't go unforgiven.
Despite all of this horror and tragedy, there's been some good news in France.
Go unforgiven. That's right. Slavery was abolished in France's colonies in spring 1793, and women's rights have taken hold once a society for revolutionary Republican women was founded.
We've also heard that the National Convention had pursued de-Christianization with the removal of saint from the street names, pillaging churches, and encouraging priests to marry.
Once again, it seems to me, the National Convention had their priorities in the wrong place. They needed to be cooling down the revolution, not adopting a new calendar.
The name of the Committee of Public Safety seems to be quite ironic considering how they've done everything but keep us, the public, safe.
However, they did make an attempt to save the Republic from its foreign enemies by decreeing a universal mobilization of the nation, and that seemed to reveal a very dim light at the end of the very dark tunnel.
The army had reached over 1 million members, and it's the largest scene ever in the European history so far. But the most incredible part is, it was the beginning to the creation of a people's government, and is a very important step to the creation of modern nationalism.
In the most recent news, Robespierre was guillotined as of July 28, 1794, cooling down the revolutionary fever, and finally, the National Convention reduced the power of the Committee of Public Safety.
This was a seemingly good fresh start for France and their people. Churches had been allowed to reopen for public worship, and a new constitution was been created. This constitution established a national legislative assembly consisting of two houses.
These two houses have 750 members who have been chosen by electors. One house, the Council of 500, presented the other house, the Council of Elders, with a list. The Council of Elders elected 5 directors to ask the executive committee. This committee is called the Directory.
The Directory was bringing an area of corruption, yet it also was forced to clean up the mess left behind by the Committee of Public Safety. It isn't perfect in the slightest, but it is definitely better than the Reign of Terror.
The Directory had also been relying on the military to keep its power, and a coup d'etat led by Napoleon Bonaparte collapsed the Directory and it seized power.
Hey!
So
This is Jill Tunis reporting for you. Signing off from France. Reporting to you all over the world. Good night, America. I don't know. I'm scared. We should run. We should keep going.
Okay, come on.
sign. Oh, wait, is that it?
Reporting
Okay, let's just
live.
keep going. Let's just keep going.
3, 2.
Alright.
I'm gonna-
Stop. Get yourself together.
People, churches have been allowed
Let's not forget that almost all the political experience and okay, sorry.
to 16th.
Keep going. In an informational collation.
Coalition.
In an informational coalition. People Britain. What is it?
Coalition.
Prusa. Is it Prusa?
Like
Oh,
Russia?
okay. Wait, coalition?
Coalition.
In an informational coalition, Austria.
Russia.
So like, yeah.
Okay. We're rolling.
Reporting for you. Signing off from France.